John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route? Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down!
Come on.
Ready! Down! Set! Hut! 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 Hut!
Booyah! That's what we call a sacked lunch.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carey, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
The Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast, right here from Campus Corner. Carey, Eddie, and George Stoya joining us as well. George's first foray into the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast. You don't even drive an Eskridge Lexus, sir. That's a problem.
Are we recording?
Yes, we are
also,
recording.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I didn't know if my mic level was too low.
I can fix that for you.
I sound kind of low.
Full disclosure, we did get like 2.5 minutes into the first one, and George asked the question, are we recording? We were not recording. So we are currently efforting to get back.
That was the sole reason I was hired.
To make sure that we're recording at all times.
Yes.
I like that. That's fair.
All right, well, it was quite a day today here in Norman. Kyler Murray had his statue unveiling, which, the one that they did last night was like a replica almost. It's like it was silver.
Fiberglass.
Was it fiberglass? Is that what it was?
Yeah, we found that out from Baker yesterday. I didn't realize that they bring in something that's not.
Yeah, he said it was hollow, is what
the
Baker
statue.
said. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what they do with that afterwards.
I think Sam's was actually.
Can we get one here?
I think Sam's was actually the statue.
Oh, they actually brought it over.
Because remember we went over to the Oklahoma City Fairgrounds?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And Sam was there, and his parents were there.
I think it's a new thing.
That was the first time that you actually believed that I was friends with Sam.
Yes, that's when I was like, okay, he's not lying to me. We went over there, and they had the whole statue, and then I think after that ceremony was over, and I think Bob's full statue was at his unveiling too.
Well, but that thing was the first disaster of all time when Nate Fakin caught it being hauled down Lindsay Street.
Yeah.
On the back of that trailer or whatever. Were you in school at the time?
On that low boy.
I don't remember, but I remember I wrote a big story about it. And I interviewed you, Carey, for the story.
You did?
I think so, but maybe that's why they started doing the fiberglass thing, because it's like we don't want to move this thing when we don't have to.
Bring it all around.
Yeah, I bet that's part of it. Yeah, for sure. So no, but they had the unveiling last night. Sam Bradford was there. I've got some buddies who are mad at Sam Bradford for not being there today. Eddie, I'm just going to let you know that the boos are growing a little bit. They want Sam at the games. They want him at the games.
I know.
Because they don't see the private ceremony that he goes to.
Well, they don't see all the other stuff that he does. So I don't think he really necessarily cares. But I would imagine once the baby boy gets and his kid, not Sam. I would imagine once the kids get
You're not calling Sam the baby boy.
Once the kids get old enough, I think they're going to start coming around. It's going to be pretty cool.
So, but it was a great day today. It wasn't quite as dramatic as Baker's day, and I think maybe some of that has to do with they know Kyler's kind of a private person.
Yeah,
and he was here last year.
Well,
and I would imagine he probably said, let's not do the whole thing where you play the video on the field and I get emotional. And
last year was the perfect storm too, because everything that went into the revival of the program and everybody wanted to come together and kind of make a statement for the way that Lincoln Riley left and all that kind of stuff. I think that it was just a little bit of a perfect storm. They got 75,000. 54,000 for a spring game is nothing to be, embarrassed about. I thought it was a pretty good turnout. And when you throw in the fact that it wasn't the best weather day, I mean, it was damn cold outside for most of the game. I thought it was a pretty good turnout, pretty cool ceremony. And, I thought Kyler was in a really good mood, which you don't normally. I don't think that there's a lot of people that see that side of Kyler. I
don't think he's in a bad mood normally. It's just
No, he's just very
came
quiet.
in asking for you.
Well, he knows. He knows where the money.
We made a major mistake.
He knows where the money comes from.
We did make a major mistake. I got there and I thought to myself, "Oh God, we should have had an unofficial 40 shirt ready for him in XXX, to give to him, just to give you a jab, just to let you jab back." And I seriously thought about like trying to hustle back to the office, but I never would have made it.
No, we would not have made it. It was really cool though. His
And
whole
if you
thing.
don't know,
I like Kyler.
If you don't know, I mean, that's one of the most famous press conference Kyler Murray moments of all time.
I was getting the ERA, the bullpen stuff.
He came in wearing this fantastical tiger shirt. Was it a tiger?
It was a lion.
It was a lion. It was like
lion.
a $5,000 shirt at the time.
I remember because I asked him post-game. I was the one that sparked it because I said, "Tell us about the shirt that you're wearing," and he's like, "Oh, I got it at some famous store."
Yeah.
And then you yelled from the back, "You got that in my size?"
Yeah, they got it in my size. I asked him if he had it. Yeah.
He's like, "What, 3X?"
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Son
was a
of
good
a
one.
bitch. That was before he won a Heisman. That was before he won a Heisman, though. No, that was cool. And I've told this story before, but Kyler and I had a pretty good relationship when he was here. And then also
because you covered the baseball.
I covered
team.
baseball,
Yeah.
so I was around the baseball program. And over at baseball, you can go sit in the dugout, after practice or whenever, because there's nobody over there, and you can basically chop it up with them whenever, and they're all really kind of accommodating over there. So it's a little bit different than football, but I love Kyler.
By the way, if you're wondering if some of us are distracted, it's currently 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, Oklahoma, Texas, and they've got runners on second and third.
Two runners in scoring position, 2 outs, bottom 9. Trying to get a sweep would be a massive, massive weekend down in Austin if OU was able to pull this off. You talk
Softball
about
has already crushed Baylor's dreams of doing anything.
Talk about surprising performances. This would be on the short list of surprising weekends in OU baseball over the last 4 or 5 years.
Uh-oh. It's over.
Ball game.
It's a sweep.
There you go.
All right, no more distractions.
I'm gonna dump this beer on top of my head now.
We've already
What a weekend for the boys.
We've already seen that when the Cubs won last time, so we don't need to see that again. Anyway, so we did have a spring game. The Kyler stuff was great. Go check it out on Soonerscoop.com. Got video from Eddie, and George was there as well covering it. I know Bob's got a story up coming up tonight. By the way, I have to deliver some crushing boss news to you right now, George Stoya.
I don't like that.
Bob Prisbillo has beaten out your Spike Alert with his defensive notebook.
That's
you
good.
got a Spike Alert earlier for your Jackson Arnold story.
I'm glad to take the Jackson Arnold role. I'm all about the team. So more Spike Alerts, the better for all of us.
Well, and the amazing thing about the game, before we get into it, you actually went and sat with his dad, with his family today in the second quarter and just kind of chopped it up with him.
Yeah, I just was going into the game. The spring game is always one of those things where you can always have some takeaways, and Josh, I thought, put up some good takeaways on the board immediately after the game. And I'm sure we'll get into some of those. But I just wanted to, what's something that we can do that's a little bit different? And so I just hit up Jackson's dad and went and chatted with him for pretty much the entire second quarter and a good chunk of halftime. And, just talked to him about there are so many big expectations for him here. And I just wanted to hear from his dad and his family kind of that mindset.
Where their heads were at.
Yeah, and he talked about it. They understand he's the backup. That's his role. He's got a long ways to go. And they're not worried about those expectations just yet. And maybe his time comes sooner. We'll see. I obviously think it's Gabriel's show. That's been made very clear. But I think that it's good to hear from them and from Jackson to know that they understand what this next year is going to look like, and they're excited for the future. So I thought that was a really interesting perspective to talk to them.
And it kind of, puts to rest some of the... I mean, it's not going to put anything to rest, but anyone that's out there thinking, oh, Jackson knows, Jackson's won this battle coming out of spring, like you're some kind of information pirate throwing that stuff out there. It's not the way it is. It's not reality right now. Now, you want to get him ready in case Dillon Gabriel gets hurt during the season, and you want to be able to put a better backup than you did a year ago. I think they will, like right now. Like from what we saw of Jackson Arnold today, they have a better backup than they did a year ago.
Well, and
night and day.
Yeah.
Night and day. I mean, it's very obvious. Like, he had the big run that was called back today, but I mean, the dude's gonna be special. He carries himself in a manner that you have to like. Like, I think he kind of borders on, and this is kind of what made Kyler and Baker so great. Like, and I guess they did it in two separate ways. It was like they carried themselves in a certain level of confidence and cocky and arrogant, whatever you want to call it. But I don't think that they ever went, well,
it never got personal.
Kyler kind of went over the line sometimes, but he could get away with it because he was the greatest high school football player in the state of Texas history.
I think they would talk their shit to each other.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Sure. And I think that Jackson kind of carries himself that way too. It's just like, and you saw it a little bit there with the first team reps that he was getting against the first team defense, rather, that is like, okay, when they start coming after you and you're having to process everything as quick as he's going to have to, there's a learning curve there. And you talked to Dillon Gabriel about it after the game.
Yeah, I mean, and I thought Dillon's perspective on it was really good. I mean, he knows. I mean, he told me, he's like, I know Jackson's talented, and he's the future of this program, and he's taking him kind of under his wing, and I think that's good perspective for Dillon because. And
he mentioned Mackenzie Milton did the same for him at UCF.
Yeah, and so I think that, look, the reality is Jackson Arnold is more talented than Dillon Gabriel. That's a fact. But the reality is Dillon Gabriel's played, however many games in college football, and that's valuable. And so as good as Jackson Arnold may be, and how good he's going to be, Dillon Gabriel has experience that you just can't get from Jackson Arnold until he starts playing. So
you know what some of that is, and I hate to interrupt, but I thought about this today when Kyler was speaking. Look at Heisman Park. I mean, look at the quarterbacks in Heisman Park. You have Jason White, who played at a small school. He did have an offer at Miami, but not a ton other than that. I mean, he wasn't like 5-star Mr. Everybody was trying to get him. He was highly recruited, but 2A high school back then, I believe. And then you move on. Sam Bradford, he wasn't even the best quarterback in his class. I mean, Rhett Bomar was expected to be the starter. He did have the Michigan offer and the Texas Tech offer.
Technically, Rhett was he was my age, but he was a year
Rhett
before.
Came in, but
2 years before.
Rhett came in and then had that year where he sat behind. Yeah. And then, of course, Jason White got his 6th year. And so then, but everybody knew Rhett 5-star. I think he was the number 2 player in the country. Was Adrian number 1? He was number 2, according to Rivals back then, I believe. Anyway, like most quarterbacks wouldn't take that, take
Rhett
that
was
scholarship.
2004. Sam would have been 2006. And AD would have been, what, 2002?
No. AD was 04. Or no, wait. AD's first. No, AD and Rhett were in the same class.
Were they? 2004?
Yes.
Is that right?
Because OU played, remember, they played LSU in 03, and Kewan Jones was the running back. And then AD came in 04. They played, Bowling Green, I think, is the first game. And they said they weren't going to start AD, and they started Kewan, but AD ran for 100 yards anyway as a backup, and then he eventually started winning the job. So that's how I remember it. I might be wrong. I'm getting old. But I digress. I mean, but you look at Sam Bradford, Heisman Trophy winning, 3-star quarterback.
Same class.
And
with Brett Bowers.
Right.
Don't forget about that.
And then, Baker Mayfield, the world's most famous walk-on. Like I wanted to almost ask Kyler today, do you feel like you've broken the mold of the Heisman quarterback at Oklahoma? Because you were, I know Rivals didn't have him as a 5-star, but he would have been a consensus 5-star. And he was Mr. All-American in high school. Like, he is different from all the other Heisman Trophy winners that Oklahoma's had in terms of expectations. Now, you can say, Jack Mildren, he was all-world everything. I don't know if your dad talks much about him, George, but
that's his favorite OU quarterback ever.
But Jack Mildren, OU had to win a massive recruiting battle. And I know he never won a Heisman, but that's an example of an all-world quarterback that never won the Heisman, but did live up to the hype, at least in Oklahoma standards. So it's just Kyler is just different from everybody else because of that.
Yeah, and I think it's also just one of those things. Again, and we bring it up on every podcast.
And I'm sorry, I strayed so far off. My point was Dillon Gabriel is not the Kyler Murray 5-star.
Right.
He can still be really good and even better than a young 5-star quarterback.
Well, what would you
because
say?
Of experience.
What would you say to the person that would say in that case? It's like if there is that small margin between them, or is it so grand that
you
you
err with the superstar?
Would you go, Yeah, and especially with the schedule. That I know this is like a conversation we can have during the summer. And it's going to take place over the next 5 months until they start the season. But if it is like that tiny margin, like you're not giving up a whole lot, maybe you do go with the more talented guy.
Well, sometimes people say go with the younger guy in that situation.
Here's the thing. If Caleb Williams doesn't come in that game a few years ago, are we even having this conversation? That's what I think is in a lot of people's mind is, oh, well, Caleb Williams came in and did it, and so Jackson Arnold can do it.
But those are people that think Dillon Gabriel is is Spencer Rattler. He's been so much better than Spencer Rattler.
Well, you saw the numbers that Josh threw up.
Their first years? Yeah.
No, it was the last 7 games of like 2020 versus Gabriel's last 7 games this past year. The numbers are like eerily similar.
Right.
Trying to pull it up now. Josh has been on like a little bit of a Twitter heater. I was asking you earlier if he was drinking today because there's so many tweets to go through now. It is surprising though. Go ahead, Joe. I mean, Ford. I've had a couple of beers.
Yes.
But no, I mean, I just think it's look, I get it. Expectations are high for a guy like Jackson, but I do think that they're maybe a little bit unfair at times. I think it comes with the position. It comes with playing at a place like Oklahoma, but I think they're approaching it the right way. And when I say they, I think his dad and his mom have kind of instilled the right mentality in him in the way that he's approaching this. And you can hear it even post-game. Eddie, I don't know if you were over there listening to him a little bit. But
no, I never made it over to Jackson today.
He's very self-critical, knows that he could have played better and also knows his role and knows that he's got a lot to learn this next year and still develop. And it's so funny talking to him, and he's got such a baby face. I even asked him, I was like, is it weird? He went to prom last Saturday. This week, he's playing an OU spring game. And he's just like, yeah, man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's where you have to remember that this kid's 18. He's still got a long ways to go. So
I don't think that it means like a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but I do think that playing at the level of high school football that he played at,
100%,
that Peyton Bowen played at, like that plays a part in maybe just the preparation of being ready to go from day one or being able to jump in. And, obviously this is the 4th month that he's been in college. There's so long. It's such a long way to go.
And see, I thought watching him in Orlando, seeing him on the field with the athletes there, I was like, okay, well, he's going to be fine athletically.
Oh, like the
he's
Under Armour stuff?
Yeah. The way that he runs the ball, he's going to be able to run the ball. And today he showed that as well.
Yeah, and I think that you flip on that Allen game that we went down to.
Right.
And he's running it away from, I'm not saying that they have D1 Power 5 guys in Allen's secondary, but he ran away from people in high school, and he ran away from really, really good athletes in high school at that level of high school football in the state of Texas. Final 7 games, Spencer Rattler, 2020, 122 of 188, 65%, threw for 1,845 yards, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Dillon Gabriel, 2022, 145 for 234, which is a 62% completion. So 65% versus 62%, 1,943 yards. So just over, 100 yards more through the air, and then 14 and 6 touchdown to interception ratio.
But that was the best of Spencer Rattler's career.
And that's what everybody
games.
Going into that 21 season was banking on, is he going to make that jump? We did the Doom Pod, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just expected that he was going to make that jump. I think that Gabriel can be the guy that we saw at the end of the season. And if he's the guy that we saw at the end of the season, whether it be, hopefully the guy that you saw in the Cheez-It Bowl, this team can win a lot of football games. I'm not as worried offensively. I guess there are some questions as far as wide receiver goes and filling the Marvin Mims shoes, but I think that they were pretty vanilla today. I don't know if you can put a whole lot into that.
I mean, he missed some throws here and there. The inaccuracy is still, I think, somewhat of an issue. He missed some throws high. I know Josh noted that too, but I think it's also one of those things that I just don't see Jeff Lebby. Jeff Lebby really believes in Dillon Gabriel, and I just don't see him making that move. And I think that's going to end up being his final call. Like, I don't think it's something that Brent's going to make a change on, but I don't know. I think that, both quarterbacks honestly struggled at times today. Jackson finished it off with the nice throw.
But he had
Gavin
20 yards
Freeman.
at halftime.
Yeah.
And I know he's playing against the ones for the most part, but he didn't have time to throw at times. I mean, he's getting a lot of pressure. But even the throws that he did have, they weren't always good.
Yeah. And that was, honestly, and if we want to get into it, that was kind of the story of the day for me too, was how good the defense was.
Yeah. No, I absolutely think that's the takeaway.
Yeah. And it was specifically a lot of the new guys. And that was kind of my other story that I wrote today was, you had guys, the transfers, right? Rondell Bothroyd looked great out there. McCulloch was making plays. It seemed like he was really disruptive. I think the first play of the game, he made the play on the trick play.
There's a lot to like with McCulloch, man.
Oh my gosh,
OU hasn't had a guy that looks like him out on the defensive side of the football in a long, long time.
He's just so long, and he does run well. And I know we had a lot of fun with that first video that was posted in camp. But I mean, seeing him out on the field, he runs, he moves, he keeps up with everything.
Yeah,
I mean
it.
And Reggie Pearson today, I thought, was
he made
a guy
that nice play in the end zone on Stogner. I think
Yeah.
he was. Yeah,
there are guys out there that it gives you hope. Like what is it like? I feel like we've been in this spot before where we come in here and we talk about, they look great, and then they go out on a Saturday and they just look absolutely terrible. I came across one thing during pregame today that I thought was kind of interesting. It was unsolicited, but I was told that Marcus Stripling has had a major spring.
Interesting, because we were just discussing about if he'd
be a transfer portal guy. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting. But that, and then on top of Trace Ford, who has been very, very limited in practice. But who was it, George, at post practice that was saying that he had like 3 sacks in 4 plays?
Rondell Bothroyd said about Trace Ford.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was told to me today again. So that definitely happened. Like he wasn't embellishing on the story. Supposedly when he's been out on the field, he's made some major plays, and he had the PBU or at the line of scrimmage today that I think it ended up getting caught, didn't it?
Yes,
off the deflection, but he still got his hand on the ball.
You know who else who doesn't have good stats, but I was impressed by today is R. Mason Thomas.
Well, and he had a sack today that they didn't
count.
They didn't get.
I felt like there was multiple times that they had sacks. Like Bothroyd, I think, had one, and they just called it 2nd and 10, but it should have been like 2nd and 17 or something.
Yeah, R. Mason Thomas had one. He came around the edge and he tapped, because I was down. I was sitting with the Arnolds at the time, and it was right in front of me, and he tapped Gabriel's back, and they didn't blow it dead for some reason. But yeah, no, I thought the pass rush. I mean, Eddie, you and I have talked about it too. I thought the pass rush was pretty good today. Now, some of it was against that second offensive line, and even Brent said today some of the offensive line stuff, like they weren't allowed to cut guys, and there were certain things that they limited the offense to. But I thought they looked pretty good up front. I don't want to get overhype them, but I thought that was.
It's just like I don't know how much you go. Yeah, they looked really good, and then you look at the offensive linemen that they were going up against.
Exactly.
It's like I hope those guys aren't the ones that you're counting on, and they're obviously not going to be.
And also, to be fair, like Brent said back on Thursday when we talked to him, he was like, we don't have enough offensive linemen to have 2 teams. So, I mean, they had to throw 2 teams out there, and they obviously weren't what you would hope to be if you're Oklahoma.
Well, like they had and I don't want to throw this guy under the bus, but I'm about to. It's like there's a difference between going up against Gunnar Allen and Savion Byrd out there, and so I think that's
like if they have a Walter Rouse available, it's maybe a totally different game.
Yeah, and I thought Gaden Green played okay. I thought he held up, but it was clear that they were struggling up front at times.
It was in the interior. It seemed like they had the biggest problem because that was where Bothroyd was having all his success, and Grayson Halton had a great game today. I mean, Grayson Halton. I mean, he's the biggest up and comer on this defense.
Yeah,
I think
he could be a guy.
5 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, according to the stats they sent out.
It seems like it's hard to tell with this kind of stuff, but it seems like he plays very physical.
And it was interesting seeing Joseph Laulu he's officially interior.
Yeah.
Like, he's undersized, and he said he wants to get to 290, wants to get bigger. but I mean, they're not going to put training wheels on them. They just basically said, get out there, you're a defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman.
How about Kip Lewis?
Looked really good. Yeah.
11 tackles, 2 tackles for loss.
I thought Kobe McKenzie looked good too.
Yeah. I thought the linebackers like Kanik looked more comfortable out there.
I thought like all the guys outside of the quote unquote we've penciled in as starters looked really, really good, which is encouraging.
Yeah.
Like Kip Lewis was all over the field. And I think, was it McCulloch that was talking about him, like how fast he is from sideline to sideline after the game?
Yep.
I mean, that...
It's interesting hearing Brent salivate over Lewis Carter before he's even here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He benches 400
pounds. 400 pounds.
I don't know if I believe that.
How much do you think you bench?
Right now?
Yeah.
130?
We are not getting weights in the office. I'm sorry.
I think I could do 185.
Could you do
200?
225?
I think I get the 220. I think I could probably get 200.
The combine
One time.
barometer, isn't it? 225?
I've been benching. My dad knows.
Benching or bitching?
Both.
I haven't been doing either.
So anyway, no, but I mean, it is, as you wrote in your article, George, Brent said that he wants this defense to be on a different planet. You asked him that question. It is, I mean, he was hesitant to really give too much praise or say anything like, and the thing I kept thinking is these players have no idea how much Brent Venables expects out of them before he's happy. He will never be happy. Like, what, his little scream about it's not good enough, like, I don't know if any defense is ever going to be good enough for Brent Venables.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and he talked to, because he kind of got a lot of those questions today after the game is where is the defense at in your opinion? And it always started with, we still got a long ways to go. And so I think that he's never satisfied, which is it's a good thing. But it does make you wonder, like, how close are they to making that jump? And I just think that and again, I wasn't here last year, but it looks like they've got better athletes. There's more. They've got more talent across the board. I mean, one guy we didn't even mention that, and he didn't show up a ton in the stat sheet, but Adebawore, man. I mean, that's another guy. You mentioned McCulloch earlier, Eddie, as a guy.
I fell in love at warm-ups.
I mean, yeah, you had the great quote about he's bulging in all the right places.
He is.
You said that about McCulloch?
Yeah, about
Adebawore.
PJ Adebawore.
Oh, dude. I know that I saw a couple tweets that Josh had put out. I mean, we talk about they haven't had a guy that looks like that in a while down there when talking about Deshaun McCulloch. PJ Adebawore is on a different level of looking.
And he's not even close to a finished product.
Oh, no. I mean, that guy, I bet he's going to be able to gain 35, 40 pounds by the time that he gets officially out of school in 3 years or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks incredible. And the play that he made over on the west sidelines.
The 7-yard loss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Running down a guy.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable.
And that's where I think they're going to make the biggest jump on defense. It just seems like they have so much more depth there. I mean, last year, they were playing Grimes, Downs, and R. Mason Thomas were really the three guys on the edge for them. This year, you've got all three of those guys back, plus you add PJ, and then you go in the portal and you get Trace Ford and Bothroyd. That's a group that all of a sudden you have a much better rotation. You have some guys like Ford and Bothroyd who have played well at the highest level. And then you've also got a young guy in Adebawore. I just think that's where you're going to see maybe the biggest jump is on the edge. And that's an area that I really thought that was maybe the worst, on the team last year.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't help but wonder, like, what does this defensive end position look like? Because they did play Adebawore. Like, you guys weren't there yet, but Ted Roof had come in, and I know you guys were probably like, it's just Ted Roof. I got better things to do.
I read his transcript. He had some good
quotes. And I mean, he was asked about Adebawore, and he said, he probably got 25, 30, plays in this game. He said, and he mentioned how he'd been banged up throughout camp and whatever. And I mean, for a guy that's been banged up that didn't, only got 30 reps, like, it seemed like he was all over the field quite a bit. I mean, I was really impressed. So, hey, one thing I want to talk about on the offensive side of the ball, I think probably, you can have your opinions on what you saw with the quarterbacks today. I know everybody on the Crimson Corner does. I expected a little bit more out of the running backs today. And I think Tawi Walker being kind of the standout, at least until late in the scrimmage when Dalen Smothers had his big run.
I thought Hicks was good at times.
At times, yeah.
Or no. Excuse me.
Not
I
Hicks, yeah.
thought Smothers was pretty good at times.
Yeah, we didn't see. I didn't.
I mean, Sawchuk did some good things like later on. He had the wheel route for the touchdown, and he started, running harder.
Yeah.
I thought.
It's just one of those things that's hard to...
It's almost like Tawi Walker kind of loosened everything up for him.
I do think Sawchuk's going to be their starting running back, though.
Yeah, I do too.
That's my takeaway.
I'm not done with Javonte Barnes.
Yeah.
Like, I think that...
I don't know what his health... Is he going to be somebody that's back for the beginning of fall camp? Because if he is, then I'm with you, Eddie.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's why they had the surgery, so they could get it ready, yeah.
But
Barnes have foot surgery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounded
Did I
like a
miss that?
toe. It sounded like a toe thing.
Okay.
Is what Brent said today.
I thought did Brent say that today, that he had surgery? Or
No, he said it a
that-
couple weeks ago.
Okay.
That he had surgery.
I completely
to
missed
clean
that.
something up is what he said. And then
Oh, okay.
today
It
he
was
said it
all
was
the way
something
from
in
high
his
school.
Yeah, and then today he said it was something in his toe, which makes me think it's really not a big deal.
See, I don't think that... Yeah, that should be fine. And once you get a full starting offensive line, like, it's just hard to tell in the run game, especially today when... you're not like even all the like quarterback run game and stuff. The quarterback's obviously not going to keep the ball because he can't get hit. I don't know. It's hard to really gauge what that running game. Like, I thought it was interesting that after the game that Levy basically said we're going to be able to run the ball.
Yeah.
Like, he's pretty confident about that.
Did you see Caleb Hicks' stat line?
No,
9 rushes, -4 yards.
not great. That's why.
Now he was in there with
Smothers
the
was
second
guy.
unit quite a bit, I think, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch the game, but actually I probably won't rewatch the spring game. I don't know, but I think he was in there with the second unit a lot. Which that's what we talked about earlier, is that defensive line kind of dominated up front. But Tawi Walker, another walk-on running back, steals the show.
I think I
the spring
called it.
game.
I think I called it.
Oh, it's a pretty easy
in the
call.
U40 that Tawi Walker was going to be the guy because he's so big. Like, he is tough to tackle, and especially for the quote-unquote non-starter guys. Like, he's a load to bring down. I just don't know if you're going to look up and he's going to be averaging,
He's
4.5
a specialist.
carry
Yeah, he's a specialist
against insert whatever Big 12 opponent.
Yeah, he's gonna have like 20 rushes next year with 8 touchdowns. Like, he's just a goal line.
Yeah, that's what I see
If
him
they
as.
want to do that, that's completely fine with me.
By the way, George, we usually do like stock up, stock down. That's kind of what we've been doing. But if I had one stock up vote today, it would have to be for DJ Graham. It may not be the most impressive thing because he wasn't in the flow with the starters, but I think all this stuff was with Davis Bevel, was it not? Were his 2 catches with Davis Bevel?
Yes.
Yep.
And then they end up scoring a touchdown. I was just glad Davis Bevel didn't get booed when he went into the game.
The first catch that he had, the kind of acrobatic, tough catch,
Little
DJ Graham
underthrown.
had, a little underthrown, had to adjust to the ball in the air. Like, he has some very
Ball
obvious,
skills. Yeah.
ball skills. Like, I want to see more. I want to see more in what he's able to do.
I like who I'll give you
That Arnold touchdown was a hell of a throw.
Yeah, they're replaying the game here on
Stock down
Is this 9?
Jaden Gibson, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Man.
I mean, feel for the kid. He owned being a shithead basically last year, but you got to catch the ball when it comes down to it. I mean, he had a couple of that. Look, I understand the first throw from Gabriel was a little bit behind him, but it's still catchable, and that was a 4th down play, I think. But to drop that one in the end zone that would have won your team the game, that's
was a tough look.
tough look. Yeah.
Did Nick Anderson play today?
No, and Brent had mentioned that he was out.
Okay.
That he wasn't able to play today.
Yeah, that was one guy I was hoping to see play, but I was gonna say maybe stock up to Blake Smith. I know he only had 1 play today, but he caught
did it
that
with
ball
one
with one hand. I think he's also just he just seems like a tough dude. I think they're gonna find a role for him, and obviously they're limited at the tight end spot. I do think that's one spot they might look to add in the portal if they can. This spring going into the summer, but I thought he played well. Gavin Freeman, 3 receptions, 47 yards, 1 touchdown. I know they've been really high on him this
Dog,
spring.
man.
Yeah.
He's a dog.
Well, and I think we're at a standstill with Andrell Anthony to find out exactly what he brings. I mean, I like what he looks like. He looks like a guy that can stretch the field. He was underthrown on that interception by Peyton Bowen. But, he started the game out good. It seemed like Gavin Freeman was kind of a safety blanket a little bit for the QBs today, and they didn't really try a lot of guys.
They had 14 guys catch a pass today, so it seems like we still haven't not really cleared up who are the guys.
It was interesting that Levy after the game talked about how they felt like they've developed depth. I just don't feel I don't know if confidence is the right word, but I don't know if I have a lot of confidence in saying that they have 3 all Big 12 type guys.
You have depth. Do you have playmakers?
Right.
That's what I want.
That's a good way to say it. Yeah. Like, and I want to see, like, as much as I want to see more of DJ Graham, I want to see more of Andre L. Anthony. I thought that there was times today that he made some good catches up against the sidelines and stuff.
And I think LV Bunkley Shelton started the game.
Yeah, and he had that one drop across the middle. There was nobody around him.
Yeah, he was on the opposite side when Drake Stoops tried that pass. Did he? That sweet pass to start the game that got batted down. So it's inconclusive on the tight ends, really. I mean, I know you mentioned Blake Smith, but Austin Stogner, he just had one catch today. It was a first down, but still, I wanted to see a little bit more. Trying to force the action with him a little bit.
And I don't think he played a ton today, just because
probably worn down from the spring.
Yeah, and it's just like that's a position that they really cannot afford an injury. And it'll be interesting to see what can Helms and Llewellyn bring. If one of those guys can be a dude, then you're probably good at that spot. But it's definitely pretty thin there.
I was sitting here in my head trying to pronounce number 80's last name.
Fanuli?
The big tight end.
So
he has like just an incredible story, because when we talked to Joe John Finley the first time during spring ball, he Hoover asked about him. Mm-hmm. And he was one of those guys I was like, I have no idea who this guy is.
Yeah. It was like,
and
who?
he played basketball at Cameron down in Lawton, and he's making the transition to football. Just from when you see him out there,
he looks
good. He kind of looks great.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be able to be a guy that they can really contribute and be on. Like, if you would have told me that he was going to catch a touchdown and that Blake Smith was going to catch a touchdown today, I'd been like, okay, like that makes some kind of sense. But I don't really know if Blake Smith catching the ball with the big club on his hand. I asked him after the game, is that tough? And he was like, yeah, I just kind of got used to it this spring. He has something wrong with his thumb, I guess.
By the way, I want to give one more stock up. I know it's not going to be a popular stock up, but I mean, you got to recognize Davis Bevel. 5 of 6 for 83 yards and a touchdown. And look, stock up to you, the fans, for not booing him when he came on the field. Like, I was really worried about that.
Bob was egging it on in the press box.
He was being a dick.
He was trying to have him booed?
Yes.
Yeah, he's like they're gonna boo him when he comes in.
Unbelievable, Bob. That's unbelievable. Go back to basketball.
It would have been kind of fun.
It's always the quiet ones that are the assholes.
Yeah.
It kind of would have been fun though if they did.
No.
That would have been awful.
I like Davis.
He seems like a good dude.
And then not a lot of action for General Booty, which probably says something. But it was interesting that Jeff Lebby pretty much said, yeah, it's pretty clear we're better than we were last year at the quarterback position.
Well, I think they are. I mean,
it's an obvious statement, but it's just one that you don't always think a coach is going to say.
Well, and even Davis, as much as we might never see Davis play another snap at OU, but I do think he's probably improved over the last year, being in the system one more year, getting more reps. He could
transfer and find out somewhere else.
He did have to play last year in a crazy environment. So I think that as much as he, I don't think OU wants to see him play next year, because that would be a really bad situation. I do think he's probably improved. And then anytime you bring in a guy like Jackson Arnold, obviously. I didn't realize Gabriel threw 3 touchdowns today. I thought he had thrown 2. 11 of 17, 140 yards,
Farouk,
3 touchdowns, and the interception.
Wheel route to Sawchuk. And then there was a short one, wasn't there? I'm trying to think of the receivers that had.
He hit Farouk.
Farouk, I said that
corner.
one. Yeah.
It was Farouk.
Smith.
Blake Smith.
Oh, he hit the wide open Blake Smith.
Sawchuk. And
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
It kind of went under the radar today. Kicking is...
Punting is bad.
Yeah, they better not have to punt. Although it was
It's gonna
windy
be-
today.
It's going to be Plaster's job, right?
I think so. Well, I think it's going to be, if they're trying to boot the shit out of it, Plaster. If they're trying to pin somebody, it's going to be Elzinga.
No, but Zach Schmidt was 3 of 3, and he had a 31-yard field goal.
See, I don't even remember that. When did he kick a field goal today?
That's a good question. I don't
I
remember
black
that
out.
either.
Yeah, I mean,
It was very cold out there.
I legitimately don't remember.
That's what's on the stat sheet. 101 field goal, 31 yards. I didn't remember it either.
I don't remember them kicking a field goal. I don't think that they did.
What if these stats are all wrong?
It might be.
Everything we know is now.
One thing we know
turned
that
upside
did
down.
happen is Peyton Bowen's interception. Have we touched
Hell
on
of a
that?
play.
That might
Hell
have been
of
the
a
play of
play.
the day. I mean, he's a guy that too, like, you got to find a way to get him on the field. He just feels like a guy, and I know I just went through a whole spiel about not playing Jackson Arnold because he's a true freshman, but that kid just seems like a playmaker that, you got to find a way to get him out there, whether it's, you're playing 3 safeties and maybe he's the third guy that comes in on certain situations. I don't know, but that dude just seems like he's going to make a lot of plays.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we broken down pretty much everything that we saw today.
Yeah.
The other thing of it is just the post game and Brent Venables, and just how he's handling things. But I don't think he's that different than what he has been. I mean,
I get the sense that he's pretty excited about what they have defensively.
I do too. Yeah,
he brought it up almost kind of unprovoked, talking about the 3 levels of the defense. He feels like they have
Right,
some
yeah.
playmakers at all 3 levels, which. I think the way that he said it could be interpreted that he was taking a little bit of a shot at the talent level that they inherited. Yeah, for sure. But we'll see. I mean, again, none of this shit matters if they're going to go out and have a triple-digit ranked defense in a year. It really doesn't.
yeah.
But
Or an offense that keeps going 3 and out.
yeah,
We're not calling the timeouts.
Yeah.
When you
yeah,
need
like,
to. I mean,
are you going to be able to make the in-game adjustments? Are you going to be able to make those big decisions? But I do think that it seems like this whole thing is headed in the right direction. The talent level down there right now is probably greater than it's been just as a whole from top to bottom on the roster in quite a while. It just, I don't know. It seems they're moving in the right direction.
It was interesting they did that. They did a little situational there. They put the ball at the 50-yard line with like 38 seconds left, and that's when they scored that. I think that was the wheel route touchdown to.
I think that's right.
Sawchuk.
Yeah, because that was right before halftime.
Yeah, but like the clock was a little weird. I don't know if they were running it right, stopping it the way they did, or not starting it when they did. But they were able to convert, so I think that showed something. I mean, that was, to me, one of the more impressive things, just about the way they ran it today.
Well, and it's very clear that they wanted to work on situational football today.
Yeah.
Like that was a situational
Going
football.
for it on the 4th downs a lot.
The 4th downs,
Yeah.
it was very clear that
Put
that
people's
was
backs against the wall.
And Gabriel talked about that post game as well. He was kind of asked about that, and he said that's been a huge emphasis for them offensively, is converting 3rd and 4th downs, and so that was something they wanted to work on today. And then obviously even the 2-minute drill there at the end with Arnold, I mean, that was clearly something that they wanted to do. So I think that was something that maybe went a little bit under the radar today.
Also, I thought it was interesting, Brent Venables talking about he's going to meet with every player individually over the next 2 weeks before they, get some time and then come back for summer workouts.
He basically insinuated it on Thursday, and I talked to somebody, one of the national reporters that was in town about this today. They had 3 guys that were in the college transfer portal that were on campus today. There's going to be some of those tough conversations, I think, that are going to be had as far as, what
your future is here.
Yes, like they're going to have to. I mean, they're already over right now.
They're playing a number. They're
limit.
playing a numbers game because they're at 76 currently. That's with Jaden Davis and Corey Roberson transferring, but they're bringing in 12 guys. I think it's 12 guys this summer that are coming in on scholarship freshmen, and so they're going to be 3 over. So they're either going to have to take 3 scholarships away, not bring anybody in, which that's not going to happen. We know they're going to bring people in from the portal, or they're going to have to have other guys transfer. So I think we're going to see maybe a couple more guys enter the portal. I don't know who. And then, like Eddie said, I think there might be some guys that get their scholarships maybe yanked, or they're going to get, they'll find ways to pay them in other ways, I think. I think that's kind of what NIL is also for. I don't really know.
That would be not good. But they do what they do.
Yeah. I don't know how that works.
It was fun today. I mean, I had a good time. I walked over to the stadium from the office. I found out that that's the way to do it. It was a little rainy, late, but it was way too cold for. Once we got down on the field, I was like, "Poor Eddie, you were not wearing long sleeves."
No, I did not. It was a little bit embarrassing. I did not look at the weather today. I just figured that I thought it was going to be 60, and I was going to be all right.
Need to talk to Josh about something that I saw down on the field today. Eddie Radosevich's fame, we saw plenty of it yesterday, George.
Oh, yeah.
Today was a little out of control. I can't walk anywhere in that stadium, it seems like. Which I love. I love everybody that yells at me, and walking into the north end zone is an experience of
my dad even stopped you down there.
Yeah, I did see Mr. Stoya today. That was great.
But what we saw was 3 probably 10-year-old girls screaming at Eddie, asking him if he could come over and take a selfie.
I'm concerned they're following you.
Well, no, they were put up to it. I don't know if you guys saw, their families were sitting up in the corner above the tunnel there. And so they told them to come down and do that.
Okay. I was about to say, I don't know if they...
I'm a little concerned still. I mean, do we have to have rules that you cannot be taking selfies with 10-year-old girls?
Well, it's not like that. I'm not, trying to hit on these people. I'm
just concerned about the message it sends. I
hit all demos, okay? And I think that it's one of those things.
Can you even have a social media account if you're 10?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're all.
I thought everything was 13.
See, they need to put explicit content on Eddie's thing and be child prevention.
No, it was harmless. It was totally harmless.
It was harmless.
Down on the field. It's not like you had your arms around them or anything.
No.
But it was shocking to me.
No, it was fun.
Little kids.
It was fun. I took a lot of pictures today. Gave out a couple autographs. I've never done that.
I need to see your signature.
It was not good. I was not happy with it.
That's the problem. You don't grow up in life thinking what is my autograph going to look like unless you're really good at something. So when people ask me for my autograph, it's are you going to take this and put it on a check and steal money from me? Because it's I don't have an autograph.
Well, the good news is I have no money to be stolen, so they wouldn't have to worry about that. In fact, I would worry about their sanity, to be honest with you.
There's also something today that's just been driving me crazy. Eddie, if I want to say this is something on George's person, and it's driving me insane because I haven't asked him about it yet.
The watch?
Yes.
I was waiting all day for you to comment on this.
The bracelet looks semi-legitimate, but it is this is a 40. Don't tell me. This is a 41-inch watch that I have on right now. That's got to be a 45-inch watch. That's not a real watch.
I don't know. It's just a fossil, man.
Oh God.
I don't know. I
had a fossil back in the day.
When you were in your 30s
before
or 24.
I was a watch guy.
Listen. This is what I can afford.
Well, which one?
This is what...
I guess here's the decision you have to make. Do you want a watch or do you want a Lexus?
You can get a watch. I mean, do I need to gift you a watch for my collection?
No, you do not need to do that. That's too much.
That thing is just garish. Does it have fake baguettes on it?
I get a lot of compliments on this watch.
It's because people don't know what they're talking about.
Well...
Does it have a battery in it? It's a quartz, isn't it?
I don't even know. The time's wrong on it. I don't wear it for the time.
See,
I like that. That's a good call.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to fix this.
I need to get a new Apple Watch.
You have one?
I mean, it's a Garmin, which I like.
You can't call a Garmin an Apple Watch.
Well, that's what I have an Apple Watch too, but it's broken, and I bought the Garmin, and the Garmin's just not as nice.
Okay.
And so I need to just get a new Apple Watch. But
It's acceptable to have digital watches. You just wear them on the right arm. And
My
your real
on my
watch
right
on the
arm?
left. Yeah. You wear a real watch
I always
on your
wear
left.
it on my left.
No, the real watch you wear on your left. But if you want a smartwatch, you wear it on the right.
Yeah, but I only wear. This is people are tuning us out here, but I only wear one watch at a time. I can't wear two watches.
All right,
That's a lot.
We'll see. All right, I think we're done here. Watch Talk has ended it. We appreciate everybody listening for our
Been a good week on Sooner Scoop.
off-season Eskridge Lexus post-game pod. Look, I'm going to say this. Sooner Scoop, I'm so proud of what we've built here, and George has been doing fantastic work. With the stories that you've written. The Kyler Murray thing was great. What you did today, sitting with Jackson's family, was awesome. Everyone go and read it. It's all free to read, so go check it out. And Eddie's done a great job, and Bob's doing a great job. Now that Josh is back from vacation, that's awesome too. So the Baker stuff, go listen to that if you haven't heard that podcast. You got to do that just for Orlando Brown. And then Baker was great too.
I'm really
so
proud of what we did yesterday. That was pretty cool.
I'm proud of it too, except for all the F-bombs at a charity event.
Well, they get it. They get it.
They raised a lot of money, so you're welcome.
I don't know what the final number that they raised was, but I think it was over like 13,000 meals is what they
it was.
put out
I
on
think it was
Twitter
over
yesterday.
15,000 or something
Or
like that.
15,000. So it's like I'm pretty sure that they came into yesterday already with 70,000.
Yeah,
and
they
I
were
think
needing to
that
get like 10 more.
They
Yeah.
blasted that out of
That's
the water.
awesome. All right, that's going to do it. We'll be back again next week with another unofficial 40 podcast. So we'll be looking forward to that as well. And the off season is here, but there is no off season, as you guys know. Recruiting will be heating up. Camps coming up. We'll also have the big barbecue coming up, the big recruiting weekend. So stay tuned on Soonerscoop.com. Just remember, always type in Soonerscoop.com. No matter where we are, you will find us there. So thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with another unofficial 40 podcast from Soonerscoop.com.